I'd like to think, Raphael, it's about doing what we're doing. It's about, being engaged in the community. It's about saying important things. It's about driving dialogue and conversation and not letting ourselves fall into that trap of saying, oh, it's just good enough to be a presentational art form. It's just good enough for the audience to come and buy a ticket and sit down and consume what we do. I think that I would agree that opera audiences and arts audiences are changing just like the rest of our industry is changing. I almost think that, if you want to look at it by the numbers, yes, one can make the argument that the arts audiences are dying. I think that as more companies like hopefully ourselves and some of these other models, I think that you will begin to see a resurgence. It will be interesting. I'm interested to see what happens in the next 5 years and to see how arts audiences stabilize and at what level do they stabilize at. And then where it goes from there. Things are cyclical. And I think that, it's not a zero-sum game. I don't think we look at arts audiences and say, okay, it's 1,000 today, and 2 years from now it's 500, and 2 years from now it's 0. I don't think that's not an accurate way to look at arts audiences. I do think we have to work harder to engage them, and certainly here at Indianapolis Opera, one of the challenges, because the previous company and the way in which it was operating was not as successful at engaging audiences, and we were losing a tremendous amount of audience during that period, we are having to work very hard to get the audience back into the theater. And we're making progress, and we sold several hundred more tickets for the opera we just finished, Mansfield Park, than we sold for Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. We sold more tickets for Opera's Rising Stars, which we did in January, than we did for Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. Our subscriptions for next year, our renewals, are more than half renewed from where we were at this point last year at 0. So I think that we are getting the audience back, and we will continue to gain audience. It's also highly regionalized. I think you can look at some places in the United States and opera audiences aren't dying at all. As a matter of fact, they're growing. So I don't think you can use a blanket statement like that.